Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 32 of Word Ninjas Live. It's another short crew this week. People are off doing crazy shenanigans like work and doing podcasting while working.
Yep, I am on location at my day job, locked into a conference room.
Hopefully you remembered the charger this time so that your battery doesn't threaten to die at the last minute. Maybe.
Yes, I did remember the charger.
All right.
Charger is good, but once you start recording, my network started getting crazy.
Hopefully it'll hold out long enough for us to get through the show. We still have a full set of talkie points for you this week, and some of the other crew members were able to provide their answers, even though they can't show up. So we'll be covering off on those as well. But kicking things off for this week, the first talkie point is, how do your characters form relationships? This can be working, friendship, romantic, frenemies, enemies. And then we get down to the fiddly options of tsundere, yandere, kudere, I think it's pronounced, I don't even know, dandere, and Justin provided ka-tet.
Yes, that's correct.
And then whatever other combinations are feasible out there. There are almost infinite amount of possible relationship combinations for characters. The general one that most quickly comes to mind are the romantic ones, because that's the ones that the media seems to always focus on, even though they shouldn't. But for me and my characters, they are absolutely horrible at forming romantic relationships. Partly because I'm rubbish at writing them. And I just like being a horrible person to my characters. None of them are allowed to be happy with each other. It's against the rules. But they are allowed to have friendships and frenemies and awkward social relationships that most people have in everyday life. It's just mainly a matter of pitting two characters with conflicting personalities or goals against each other. I usually like to egg at least one, if not both sides on, because, you know, horrible person to my characters. Kind of par for the course. But it's always more interesting to have a story where your characters do interact and evolve against each other or with each other. So it's not just focusing on one character evolving through an entire story. There are multiple character evolutions and growths and all that goodness. But it is kind of hard to balance all of them and make sure that you don't focus too much on one and skip out on others that might be worthwhile. I still have yet to master that.
Yeah, mastering the relationship is difficult for me as well. My characters have so far typically have established relationships that slowly evolve over time, so I rarely have to create new relationships. And when I do have to create new relationships, it's usually through destiny, which is a little bit lame. Especially for fantasy writing. So perhaps this is something that I should work on and do some writing exercises about. And force two random people and do my own little writing prompt where I choose two random people out of a hat and have them meet and see if I can write something. A majority of my relationships probably develop through dialogue more than their physical interactions with each other.
And probably depending on who listens to this episode, it probably is worth clarifying what all these other Japanese options for relationship combos are. Because even I have trouble remembering what some of them are, and I know Justin questioned me on it earlier. Let's see, I found a couple of the definitions. For tsundere, it's when someone acts strong, cold, and hostile towards others, but they actually are a very warm person. They gradually show their nice side towards another person. I feel like that covers about a third of anime characters.
Yes, inner anguish, lashing out.
And probably a fair amount of JRPGs, too.
I would say all of them and every character within them, at least the ones I've played.
Let's see. Yandere is they have two sides to their personality. Yanderes are extremely sweet, caring, and gentle to those they love very much. However, they are usually mentally unstable, causing them to show their affection often through violence. Yeah, that covers another third of anime characters.
I feel with these 4 definitions incoming, we're running out of thirds.
Well, what are the other? The other two I don't really know that well. Let's see. Kudere. They are really cold and emotionless, but they slowly open up to their love interests or a person they trust. It is different from tsundere because tsundere are not emotionless and express their feelings in more loud, anger-like ways. I don't really know too many of those offhand as an example. Hmm. And then there's dandere. They are extremely quiet, but are different from kuderes because it is often associated with shyness. Huh.
I feel like 3 out of 4 of those start off with being introverted and shy and not expressing their true emotions.
So it's basically just covering a lot of normal people with social anxieties and awkwardness.
And the one I added, Katet, is a Dark Tower reference, Stephen King set of novels. It's basically a group of people who have met together via some sort of destiny, and they have to work towards a common goal. And they are bonded emotionally and sometimes psychologically.
I was wondering why that term sounded so familiar. I couldn't place it. Then again, still have yet to finish reading that series.
I believe I have all of them, so if you need them, let me know. Where'd you stop?
I think I got stuck on the fourth book somewhere along the way. I think because the fifth one was taken out of the library at the times, and then I forgot to look for it, and then I forgot most of the plot.
Well, I guess you'll just have to start over then.
Yeah. Well, I do still have my 100 books to read for the year goal, and I think I'm only on book 13 or so, so I can easily enough add it to the list.
They're quite long. I don't know if you have a page count average goal.
Well, they can't be much worse than some of the books in my to-be-read pile. Would you like to take Calvin or Will's answers for this talkie point?
I'm going to flip a coin. The coin landed on tails, and tails referred to Will's. Obviously, all of that was done slightly off camera. Let's see. Will, if you've been following along on the podcast, does deal a lot with relationships with his characters. He mentioned it has already included working relationships, friendship, romantic, obviously, enemies, and recently even frenemies. He mentions that most of the time those relationships are a necessary part of the plot, so he works things to ensure that they happen. He also says that that's not always the case. There have been a few times where he's thrown a few characters at each other for something simple, and a romantic relationship tried to form from it. No sense in denying that from happening. He also mentions that sometimes, though those romantic relationships don't pan out, then we can only hope that the characters can at least stay friends. And then he also questions CJ's use of those Japanese terms, which we explained earlier.
I'm kind of glad that even he can't keep track of those.
Yeah, if he can't keep track of them, then. Well, to be fair to him, 3 of them are awfully similar.
Yeah, they seem very specific. Whereas, like, the working relationship, that's pretty vague. You can have a dozen or so specific versions and variations within. As for Calvin's answers, he replied with that he's not particularly kind to his characters either. So romantic relationships don't come easily for his characters. Uh, he thinks the most interesting romantic relationships between two characters come out of two people with conflicting or opposing personalities. So I guess when opposites attract. And it's a lot of fun exploring dynamics, knowing the two sides will undoubtedly clash at any given moment. It's just a matter of how and when. So I guess he likes messing with his characters as well. Yay, character torture.
It's like playing The Sims, except writing it all out.
And
that gives me an interesting idea.
And he also adds, that dynamic works well for me with friendships, especially with Oscar Madison, Felix Unger type personality differences. Just trying to make the friendship work without killing one another. I think that also describes pretty much almost all of anime. Yeah, that is our crew's responses to this talkie point. So for our listeners, both present and future, how do you deal with your characters' relationships? Do they manage to get along and play nice with each other, or are there various complications and dramas that you have to deal with and sort out? Post in the comments. Continue our conversations.
So speaking of relationships, after thinking about this question a lot, I've noticed that a lot of talking points that we come up with and discussions, I always seem to think of them as any answer that could possibly be given would be a cliche answer, because everything has already been touched upon in writing. It's just a matter of mixing and matching and kind of new twists on old ideas. But I think that I too closely assume that everything is a cliche and try to avoid them instead of actually playing with them and trying to use it as an excuse to not write about something that might have been touched upon before. And maybe that's me personally trying to avoid writing crappily when somebody else has done something similar to what I have better. I don't know.
And the way I've tried to frame it in my mind is most of the basic concepts, or basically every basic concept in writing, has been done at some point in history, but it's a matter of taking what concepts interest you and putting it in your own voice. Because every writer has their own unique voice that's built up from their own personal experiences and the readings that they appreciate and enjoy. So we mix and match and create our own unique voices that we can create semi-fresh perspectives off of old ideas. Because, I mean, look at all the various fairy tales and remakes and remixes and re-envisionings that go on every single year in books and movies and everything else. It has been done, but people are finding new ways of doing it. Or trying to, anyway.
And I'm going to do something hilariously unorthodox, so stop me if you want. But I'm going to skip to question number 3, because that's highly related to what we're talking about currently.
What was number 3? It was the what-if scenario.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can skip ahead, by all means.
What if your character encounter a snowstorm with 15 inches of snow? How do they react? What do they do? Well, I commented also something about a cliche. Right now I'm writing a, out in the middle of the woods guy in a cabin story. So a giant snowstorm would be a reverse Deus Ex Machina for my novel that I'm desperately trying to avoid, the snowstorm scenario. It would make my trapped in a creepy cabin even more cliche and awfully King-esque than it already is. And that was another thing that I was fighting with. So I've got this guy in a cabin, which has been done over and over and over again. And I'm trying to bring things new to the table, but at a certain point, if I don't figure out a way to keep my character in place, he's just going to get into his car and drive away.
Well, would 15 inches of snow really be enough to be dramatic? Or would you need a little bit more?
I think based on where he is, 15 inches of snow would be devastating because he wouldn't be able to drive away. It's an old dirt road, so the snow would probably not come for quite some time. The snow would also create other problems like downed power lines if he had electricity at all, or frozen water mains and stuff like that.
Okay. Sorry to cut into the question, but we may actually have some technical difficulties that's going to really screw up with this episode. My charger cord is not charging.
Uh-oh.
And it says I only have half an hour of power left. And I can see that the cord plastic is actually frayed to the point where I can see the cords beneath.
Not
that
ideal.
Is a problem.
Oh, sweet irony.
Yeah, now it's my turn. I guess we can continue for so long as this computer lasts.
Have you done things so far like dim your monitor? Although I'm sure streaming all this video across the internet is probably not helping your battery life.
Yeah, that's not going to make much of a difference. It's that one. And that one doesn't even respond and do stuff because it's not clever enough. Let's just keep rolling, and if it dies, I think I can log into the PC and hopefully it'll still let me re-log in and stream it. But if not, I'm giving everyone fair warning.
We join you at episode 32.5. CJ has gotten to his computer. All right, well, back on topic. I was wondering, my character right now that's trapped in the cabin is already a little mentally unstable, so this would probably be a tipping point that he can't even get out the front door, because damn you, one-story cabins. 15 inches of snow would easily be well over the roof of the house, of this cabin. Remember, this isn't 5 inches, this is 15 inches. Wait.
Inches, not feet.
Oh, 15 inches? Never mind. Oh. Well, that changes the question dramatically. Yes, I had read this as 15 feet. No, that's not your fault. I misread the show notes. I'm going to continue on, though, as if it was 15 feet of snow.
Fair enough.
And I was wondering if he could climb up through a chimney if he opened the flume. If it was an old cabin with a brick chimney. I don't know if he could bust through a grate. It would be dependent on the
size of the chimney and the size of the person.
I think he could fit up in theory, but if there's a grate, bolted in at the top, it might be difficult. But that brings up a sudden plot point idea for my novel.
I'm pretty sure that most of those chimneys, if they are large enough to fit a person, do have a grate of some sort at the top to prevent bats and other animals from coming down.
And Santas.
And Santas. Let's see. And I didn't even put in my answers for that one yet, because I think I kept getting distracted by stuff. But I don't know if it was the slash and burn universe. Burn would just take her flamethrower out and have fun. She wouldn't really care much about the amount of snow or ice or anything. She just likes setting things on fire and melting stuff. As for Slash, he would probably just stay inside, curl up with a bottle of wine, and have fun from there. I don't know about my other universes, though. Snow is a relatively rare occurrence in most of my stories. Usually it's just excessive amounts of rain screwing up flights and stuff like that. So snow would actually be a novelty. I might have to play with that.
Maybe that's what how Game of Thrones became so super popular, because it was one of the first epic novels dealing primarily with areas of snow and or impeding snow.
Would you like to take on Calvin or Will's answers? Presuming you can still hear me? Presuming I'm still on? Maybe. Theoretically, I still have 30 minutes of power left, but now I'm not hearing... Oh, Justin went away. Well, that's not good. And then there was one. And now there are two. Did you push the wrong button? Can you hear me now? Nope. And away he goes. Oh my, this is going to be a very awkward episode, I can tell. Well, I'm still bringing up the show notes and all that stuff on my other computer, so hopefully I can pull all of that together and then just port myself over. Because I'd really rather not do two entire live streams just for this, if it can be helped. Let's see here. Are you going to stick around? Maybe, possibly, perhaps. I can at least hear you typing, so I know I can hear you, but can you hear me? Nope, you cannot hear me. That is unfortunate. Alright, so I'm all prepped to do that.
Can one hear me by any chance? Is it only
I can hear
sound?
you. I have been able to hear you, but can you hear me at all?
Even better.
Alright, let's see if I can get away with two of me in here. Let's mute this so I don't get...
I have an idea.
Bear with us a few minutes. We are both experiencing technical difficulties, it appears. But hopefully I can dual log in and then kill the Mac before the battery dies out and just continue on the PC as if nothing happened. Let's find out. Okay, now there are two of me. That's freaky. Okay, so theoretically, there's only one of me in there now. Let's see. I need to do that. Hopefully this actually works and we are streaming, because if not, then that is a problem. All right, bring up the YouTube page. Please let it be working. Let's see. Pop the mic in. Dealing with technical difficulties on the fly, always fun. Come on, you better work. I demand that you work. Now it's picking up audio. Okay. That's that stupid setting. Alright, so there's that. There's that. Come on. It's trying so hard to work. You can do it. I believe in you. If if this is actually getting through. I'm now on the PC, and it is slow. It was not expecting to have to do all of this today. You can do this. You can do this. This one's dead in the water anyway, so you're gonna get moved. Shoot. Alright, now we can do this. Alright. Hopefully we were back up and running. Well, I don't know what sort of technical difficulties Justin was having on his end. Let's see here. There's that. Yeah. If this works, then we'll get back on the road shortly. It's just a matter of making sure everything's syncing and working properly the way it needs to. Alright, so there's that. Come on. That. Come on, you can do this. This is going to be one of the most anticlimactic episodes we've had yet if all of this just falls apart now. Come on. Okay, so there's that. Not that it seems to be working. Not sure where Justin went. But it says we are live, so I'm hoping that is the truth. Come on. So we got that. We can bring that up. That's good, that's good, that's good. I don't even remember where we were. We were somewhere amidst talkie point number 3 after having skipped number 2. That's not working. For whatever reason, that doesn't want to acknowledge that it's happening. But, well, I'm going to just go on the assumption that we are live and running, and you people are probably getting very frustrated at us at the moment because we don't seem to know what's going on. So, until Justin makes his way back in, I'm not quite sure what happened. Let's do talkie point number 3. I'll wrap up. Huh? Can you hear me?
On my phone from my job.
Lovely. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, everything is fine.
Alright, so we got sound on both ends. We got video on both ends. Theoretically, this thing is live, although I have trouble checking the actual YouTube video to confirm.
So my sound card and Google Chrome doesn't play well together for some reason. So I went to go restart my computer to fix this problem, and now it's installing 12 updates as slow as humanly possible.
Ouch.
So hopefully I'll get that online soon. But for now, I'm here, and you'll have to read me the talking points.
Oh. And I've managed to get the YouTube stream up, but it is saying please stand by. So it's quite possible that it's only acknowledging the Mac as the master stream.
Oh, are you on the computer?
I'm on the PC. The Mac is now down for the count. I'm still using the exact same account, wordninjas@fcwriters.com, so theoretically I should have admin access, but Google Hangouts is a little spazzy.
When I went online, it did show both of your accounts as still signed on.
Yeah. I originally had both in here, and then the other one died. But even though this says we are live, if the master stream doesn't show up, then it's not going to show up on the YouTube stream, so there's no point.
Right. Update 9 of 12.
What's the newest one? Theoretically, as of 5 minutes ago, Jessica says it's back. So, do you want to just run with this and try and do the show as if it were working properly, or should we just kill it? Because to me, it says that it's not streaming.
Now, so I should be able to try to log on to my actual computer in a second. See if our listener can confirm that she's been part of this conversation using the secret word banana. If she replies with banana, we know that we are actually live. And we can edit all of this.
We can edit it out of the audio version anyway. That's going to be a fun one. Oh, spoilers. Okay, as of 52 seconds ago, she says it is working now. Oh, yes, and I can see the stream. So we are running, we are live, it is working. So let's roll with it for as long as this works. Sorry about that, folks. I feel like I'm on an episode of the Fairy Tale podcast or something with all these technical difficulties.
Well, one day we'll have our own studio and then we won't have any of these problems.
Oh, of course not.
It would be absurd.
All right. At this point, I think we're just going to kill the talking point number 3, actually. Let's just go to talking point number 2 and roll with what we have.
That's an excellent idea.
Talking point number 2 was, what would you currently have to say to yourself in 5 years about your writing? It can be a goal, a reminder, a warning, or threat. Effectively set a milestone for you to reach with your writing for the next 5 years. And this counts for all of our listeners and viewers as well. So post in your comments what your goals would be for the next 5 years. And by the time we're done talking, the lag should have caught up so we can actually respond. For myself, I have 3 goals. I want to finish the Lit Jutsu book because the deadline for that was actually the beginning of this year. I am horrifically behind on schedule for that.
It's still technically the beginning of the year.
Well,
Q1.
the deadline was like December 31st, 2013. Yeah, the hard drive crash of 2013 really set me back, both with physical files and just mentally and all that. I had no motivation to get back into that, but within the next 5 years, that is going to happen, or else. I also want to get the Weapons of Mass Creation program off the ground. That should be able to happen within the next 5 years, as long as I can get the networking happening. And then, theoretically, by then, we can celebrate episode 300 of Word Ninjas Live, and hopefully have a better handle on technology by then. That would be nice.
Episode 300.
Because theoretically, we'll have about 50 episodes a year. We're already going to hit about episode 74 by the end of this year. So.
Nice. And who knows, maybe we'll have things like a compressor, things like, oh, that's my computer turning on.
We'll have a proper studio where we can all group together and make sure that things work.
I won't be running off a $200 laptop from work.
We'll have a power cord that isn't frayed and falling apart.
Oh, so many things going on
in the future. We do have 5 years to sort it out, thankfully.
That Skype turning on?
Do you have access to the show notes to see your goals, or do you remember them offhand, or shall I go over everyone else's?
Do this part. So in 5 years, there's a couple things. I want to have my website be consistent and rolling with content, aggregation, and all that. I want to be a full partner in the full coverage writers space, working to keep that going and providing content. That will probably happen within the next year or so, if not all this year. I'll be probably a pretty big player in all that. I would like to self-publish a nonfiction, and I would like to self-publish a series of short horror novels or novellas or short stories. one of those. I would like to have the novel that I'm writing now be done in 5 years. Should be done sooner than 5 years. The issue is that I don't know if I want to release it. It's going to be much like a piece of art where I'm not going to really know when it's finished up to my standards. And since I'm still a young writer as far as amount of words written is concerned, I might want to keep this extraordinarily clever novel an idea and give it time to gestate a little bit and get my writing skill up. I might produce some other smaller pieces of work just to get my writing out there and then work on that. And then in 5 years probably have the Eight Immortals trilogy done, or at least mapped out in rough draft form in 5 years. That would be good as well. Is there anything that I missed on my show notes besides owning this company and then having to be able to pot off my work on everybody else so I can do other stuff?
No, looks like that covers it. And for Calvin, he said he wants to release 2 albums worth of music, either 2 LPs worth or 3 EPs. With all the material he has, that's definitely doable. And he would also definitely love to expand his hacker story. And I would love to see that too, because that's a story he's been working on since college. And I keep pushing him to do Nano, and he keeps resisting, so maybe one of these next 5 years will be the year, and he can finally get it done. And as for Will, he said he wants to say that Roommate better be done long before 5 years from now, as well as both of the short stories he has planned to stem from it, and a spin-off novel better be in the works, or he's going to beat his own ass. So a lot of stuff that we're already currently working on that we just want done, and then a few other new fiddly things. And Jessica replies that she would say, "Hey, future me, learn more Japanese and Korean so we can talk to my cousin."
Ah, yes, I am learning Mandarin, so hopefully in 5 years I'll have completed the 5-year Mandarin program and actually know how to speak something, and maybe even write. So yes, I totally agree with that consensus, and may we learn our respective languages together, virtually. Don't contact me.
I've been meaning to learn Japanese, but I think I'll have to get out of second college first before I have the time to focus on that, which thankfully wraps up this year. And I have about 1 to 2 years after that before I can even think about affording the master's program. So maybe sometime around then I'll be able to take time and learn another language. Because as fun as English is, it's always nice to know more than just one language. Okay, so now all of my sharing stuff is out of order. Let's see.
I'm just about to open up show notes and stuff like that. So just vamp for a few more minutes.
I was just quickly checking the comments to make sure I didn't miss any other responses to that. Looks like we're good to go. So we're going to just roll on to the highlights reel now. Yes? Yes. All right. Once again, we do not have a book or author highlight for this week. I have enough writing books on my shelf. I should start queuing them up accordingly. Hopefully, eventually, I'll have enough time outside of work and everything else to do that. But yeah, sorry guys, no book or author highlight for this week. But if there's a book or author that you happen to enjoy this week, please kill the feedback.
Thought I already did. Hold on.
There we go.
I forgot to mute this first. But I know that's going to work now, so I'll be right back.
All right. So, yeah, for our listeners and viewers out there, by all means, post your book or author highlights for this week. What have you been reading? What have you enjoyed? Let us know. As for the YouTube user highlight for this week, hopefully the screen share on this thing will work. It's going to be very anticlimactic if that doesn't. There we go. All right, for this week we are doing the Book Girl TV channel. I've been trying to find some more channels where it's focused primarily just on writing, writers, authors, styles, stuff like that. There's a lot of book review channels out there. We'll probably do a few more of those in other weeks, but this one caught my interest today while I was perusing for options. And let's see here. They have a couple playlists. And this, I've also been trying to trim down options to make sure that they are relatively current posters. Like they don't post just once a year. I prefer to find users that are posting regularly, at least weekly, if not bi-weekly. These people post very regularly. And they mainly have a couple different little series on their channel, like author interviews and monthly author highlights. And they have enough of them in each playlist. No, don't actually play the video. But yeah, they have plenty of content and material to peruse. And what's nice is they actually show the length of each one in the title. So they're all relatively short. Won't take up too much of your time compared to shows like this one. Yeah, I know we tend to run a little long on things, so sometimes it's nice just to find a channel where their stuff is 10, 15, 20 minutes rather than an hour and a half. To each their own. And if you can't, or if you didn't quite catch what their URL was, it is just the search for the user Book Girl TV. And they will pop up. And they also have their own website, which is just bookgirl.tv. Nice and clever. And various other social media links in their little banner that you can check out as you see fit. So go check them out this week. Let us know what you think of them. And I'm just going to roll into the website of the week because I'm paranoid that screen share might spaz out.
Which it did last time.
Yeah. For this week, I might actually have done this site already. I can't quite remember. It might have been one of the first ones we did, but this week is Query Shark. Because I thought we'd do something about querying and whatnot. Because why not? Query Shark is a convenient blog where you're allowed to send your queries to the website and they will review it for you and provide pretty good commentary and criticism. There are a lot of bad queries on this site, so it's mostly a lesson of what not to do. But she also provides a lot of commentary as to, well, this works, but it could be tighter here, or this is good, stick with this, or this style really works, I would read more. So you can get an idea of just what styles and methods for summarizing your book and trying to garner interest would be. And it's just kind of fun to skim through some of the older queries out there, and some are multiple posters, so they'll send a query, it gets torn apart, they'll send it revised again until they finally get it to a decent level. So it's nice that you can actually send stuff back and you get consistent feedback over time until you get things just the way it should be. And that's just queryshark.blogspot.com. And it's all linked in our show notes over at fcwriters.com.
I think we did talk about this at one point, but before we had this official segment where we promoted it.
Maybe it was one of the news links or something from one of the very early episodes.
I do remember us talking about this. But now it's officially being talked about.
Yeah. It's been at least 15 or 20 episodes, so we're good.
In the span of all of this cluster F of my sound issues, I figured out what was wrong in the first place and know how to fix it for next time. Apparently, Google Plus, when it's set to default device for audio, if my headphones are plugged in, then it doesn't work. I have to specifically select the sound card, which is the only sound card I have, so I don't know why that wouldn't be the default. But
Yeah,
great technology.
on the PC, it's presets for input and output are a little awkward, and I always have to second guess which one it is. Yeah, for this one, it's the default mic, despite the fact that it has the Yeti mic option. The Yeti mic is just silence. So I have to do the default, and then it acknowledges the Yeti. It's weird.
Hooray.
But yeah, I should take us off screen share. So no spoilers
Now
for
we
you.
will never be able to do screen share again.
Wow. I needed to look at this show notes.
I can screen share the Muse food stuff probably.
Yeah, that's the only other screen share bit coming up in case it doesn't work for me. But first off, refresh the comments since the Google Hangouts widget thing doesn't update the comments on the PC for some reason because it's silly. Oh, good lord. Jessica apparently knows German, English, Russian, a little Chinese, and French.
She needs to stop learning languages. I think it's an addiction. I think it's taking over her life, and she can't function in normal society because of it. Or she's fine and she's just really good at learning languages, in which kudos.
Yeah, I wish I could learn that many languages or have that much ease in learning languages.
I barely have a mastery over my primary language, English.
Yeah, a lot of us do. Myself included.
Or don't.
And she also replied to the book or author highlights as, the book I have been reading is When Lightning Strikes by Meg Cabot. I know I've seen commentary on that on my Tumblr feed, but I have not read it. But let's have that be the highlight for the week, since I don't have one handy. So everyone watching, go check out that book. If it's recommended by Jessica, it must be good. All right, next segment. Goals, or lack thereof. How did last week's goals go? I had 5, which was a bit overkill. I did get a blog done for my main job. It got posted. Yay! And then I forgot to share it. Shame on me. For the FCW blog, I poked at it a bit, but I have not really made much progress on it. The Not Suitable for Word Ninjas podcast. It is probably not live yet because I still need to stab iTunes with a fork to make it work. But it should be up tomorrow, if not Tuesday at the absolute latest. The first 4 episodes have been edited and set up. The first 3 should be live by whenever iTunes acknowledges it. Episode 4 is due to go up on the 28th of this month. Yay! And we have enough content for, I think, 2 more episodes. 1 or 2, depends on how I split it up. And for the secret WNL Projects of Doom, yes, there are that many of those. They are progressing. It's mostly getting down to a lot of logistics and XML coding. But
Right.
I'm hoping that by next Sunday's episode, episode 33, we will be able to talk about 2 more podcasts getting onto iTunes and possibly some tech upgrades for the crew, which are in the works. And as for last week's goal of setting up an FCW Goodreads account specifically, we did not get to that.
So tell me more about this, because I wasn't here last episode, and that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, we focused on the website highlight was Goodreads, but it was my personal account, and I think Calvin and I decided it would be kind of fun to have an actual FCW crew account where we could all post what we've read, what we want to read, what we recommend, and stuff like that.
Now, I haven't set up my Goodreads account yet, which I'm planning on doing very soon. Does that, the fact that it's a group thing, isn't that going to aggregate weird results ultimately?
Yeah, the group account is going to get a little spazzy because we all have our different interests.
It's going to be like shared Netflix accounts and their suggestions.
Yeah, something like that. But between the two of us, we thought it might be actually kind of interesting to see how diverse we can get between the 5 of us.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool.
We just need to actually set that up and then give everyone the login access and encourage the entire crew to update accordingly. So actually, I'm going to copy and paste that into my goals for this week so that it doesn't fall off the face of the earth. All right. How did your goals for last week go?
Well, last week I virtually added in these goals as of a couple hours ago. I delivered 4 reports to a client. Hooray!
Yay!
And that will lead into stuff about next week goals, which I will get to. My other goal was to take 1 day off this month, which I managed to do yesterday. Who knew driving 6 hours in the snow could be so fun? I drove to Boston and back in the horrible snowstorm we had yesterday.
Oh yeah, yesterday was bad in Boston.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord. I hope you have like proper snow tires.
I don't, but I'm from New Hampshire. I know how to drive in the snow.
All right, fair enough.
So I was weaving in and out of accidents. It basically looked like a Blues Brothers movie scene where cars are flipping all over the place and landing into snow embankments. And I'm just just driving along.
Yeah, that was one reason why I skipped out on yesterday's write-in, because I'm not that great of a driver in snow. My car is okay, but not fantastic. And I know there are plenty of other drivers out there that are not good in the snow. So I just didn't chance it.
What else? Oh, do something not work-related. And my response is, LOL, no. I did not, unless you count yesterday's excursion. But by not work-related, I meant writing-related, and I did not do any of that. But I am near the end of my nightmarish hellscape. You might say that this weekend is the river Styx, and once I have crossed the river into the great beyond, I will be done and will be able to be back to my normal, regularly scheduled program.
Not to be rude, but I've heard you say that for like 3 weeks now.
That is true. That's why everything has an asterisk. Asterisk. I said it was a goal. I didn't say it was something that was going to happen.
All right, fair enough. And Jessica also replied for her goals. She finished all of them. They were get money for Pensacon. When's that coming up? She also got all her cosplays done and finally finished the dance for her audition. Hooray! Congrats. Let's see. Calvin's goals for last week was survive. He succeeded, despite not being able to make it today. Consider working on music. He considered it. Actually work on music. He tinkered with ideas. I don't know. I'm going to give him half credit on that one.
I said no.
I'll give him half credit. Half credit on one of his 3 goals. So he'll pass for this week, but just barely. And for Will, he wanted to work on his ongoing story, My Roommate's a Stripper. He completed and posted Chapter 21 yesterday, I believe, actually. I saw it on my Tumblr stream, although I have not had a chance to read it yet. I'm still like a half dozen chapters behind on that story. That's not going to change anytime soon. As for this coming week's goals, I need to get several XML files formatted, episodes edited, and images obtained. Well, mainly 2, but without those it doesn't quite work. And at some point I need to do a movie review with Tom on RoboCop. And I also need to catch up on my book reviews. I've gotten really behind on those. And just the standard weekly accounting and HR class homework. That'll be annoying, but easy enough. And then now I need to I need to sort out that Goodreads account for the FCW crew. Calvin's goals were continue to work on music and build websites and make money.
That sounds like a life goal.
Yeah. Will wants to reread and get back into Clash of the Storms, which was last year's Nano. He also wants to start working on the next chapter of My Roommate's a Stripper. Because I think he's still on his twice-a-month posting schedule, so good on him.
CJ, fear not, I'm not going to read these verbatim, but you can read them. I was not in a good space.
How stressed you were at that moment.
I was very stressed. I will try to read them without all the cuss words. So my goal this week is to deliver 2 reports to a different client, and that is when I will be done and over the River Styx, and that should be happening tomorrow on my day off, of which I'll be working. Pattern. I want to write something, anything. I would like to read something, anything. I would like to do something on my website. Notice how vague these all are? I just want to do things. I want to get more active on my Twitter account. I posted something today, and I friended full coverage writers, so that's mission accomplished already. I would like to take 2 days off this week. Probably won't be Saturday and Sunday, but maybe it'll be like Wednesday or Thursday, Friday. Who knows?
I vote whatever day it snows.
I would like to get that thing from CJ, and he knows what I'm talking about. It's something
we need to figure out a drop-off for that.
Yes. And then I'm not going to read the rest of the show notes.
Yeah, maybe those are for Not Suitable for Word Ninjas episode. For when things get that silly.
But I started talking to myself, essentially, and it got grotesque. Oh god, QuinnyCon is coming up really soon, isn't it?
It's like 2 weeks. Good lord.
Don't I have to buy tickets in advance, probably?
You can reserve a ticket in advance if you go to... never mind. As I just went to the website, the first newsfeed post is pre-registration closes tonight, which was the 13th.
Oh.
So I think you can still register at the door. And
maybe that's registering for people that are going to be a part of the show. Maybe as a guy just showing up. Maybe not. Oh well, I'll investigate later.
I think it's focused on attendees registration.
Are you still planning to go?
Oh yeah, presuming we don't get an absurd amount of snow. I'm pretty sure this was the one that was free registration, so even if you just show up, you can just sign up and get the ticket. Let's see here. Well, things look like my bandwidth is dying. That's not good. Let's see. FAQs. Yes, QuinnyCon is still a free convention. You do not have to pay for admission, and no one will have to pay to be a vendor, but becoming a vendor is ridiculously difficult. You have to, basically win the lottery to get one of those few spots. I have a friend who's tried for a couple of years now to try and get in and hasn't made the cut yet. But, yeah, it's free. Pre-registration is over, so you'll have to get your ticket at the door, which means that line is probably going to be pretty long, but that's the way conventions go. But, yeah, I will be attending, and hopefully anyone within the Hamden, Connecticut area will be able to join us as well. I don't know how much of that Justin was able to hear before he dropped off. More technical difficulties. Blah.
I'm having some internet syncing issues.
Yeah, so I see. While that's sorted out, let's see. Jessica's goals for this week: don't die on point shoes. Good luck with that. That is not easy. Have fun at Pensacon. Oh, so I guess it's this week. Have fun, enjoy, and finish my anime. Me and my friends are working on. Ooh, you're working on an anime. What sort of anime is it? What's it about? Give us a little synopsis. Let us know. And Justin's gone again. This is the technical difficulties episode. Good lord. Alright. The other upcoming events are the Book Expo America in May. Calvin and I are attending that. We're going to try and catch up with a lot of the vendors there. There's a ridiculous amount of various authors, publishers, vendors, agents, everything there. It's ridiculous. It's going to be so much fun, but I don't know how we're going to keep track of all the people we want to talk to, because we basically want to talk to everyone. So that's going to be interesting. And unfortunately, that one is not easily accessible. It's easiest if you are a company or a published author, but even then it's kind of expensive. It's like $150 if you're a published author to attend. But it is a lot of fun. I've gone before. I look forward to going again this year. And of course, Connecticon in July. We'll rant about that once we get closer to July. I'm sure anyone familiar with our group will know how much we spaz out about that particular convention. All right, at this point it's about time for writing prompts. Presuming we can get this thing rolling. All right, let's hope. All right, it looks like screen share will work. So let's hop over to there. I said let's hop over to there. Screen share. All right, and Justin's back on his phone again.
I'm live from my phone because apparently my computer can't internet.
Jeez.
And yet my phone can. Oh, the screen sharing worked a second time. That's new.
Yeah, thankfully. We just got to the, writing prompts section.
I do have access to my show notes this time, so I'm going to just stay on the phone for the remainder of this session.
All right, fair enough. As always, we provide weekly writing prompts. We provide 10 one-liners, 10 one-worders, and a combination of Rory's story cubes, available over at storycubes.com. We do not own and are not sponsored by Rory's story cubes. We just enjoy them and hope that you do too. These weekly prompts are provided to encourage you to write new content on a regular basis or to kind of revive anything that you happen to be working on currently but are stuck on otherwise. Since there's only 2 of us, and I don't know how well Justin can see the prompts.
I can see them exactly fine.
All right. I'll take on 2 of these. Which one would you like?
I'll do the one-liners.
All right, go right ahead.
There's an off-kilter scale on the upper shelf, and that seems like something that would not be useful at all. Your hair is glowing, you should fix that, unless you're in the Dragon Ball Z universe. Break my sewing machine, and I'll break you. This chair is definitely meant as a torture device. So I'm assuming it's a chair that does not have a bottom or has some shackles built into it.
Or it's just a regular office chair.
Ooh, well played. All this homework is getting in the way of my gaming. Why do I have the feeling that CJ said that at some point this week, and that's where he wrote it down from?
I think most of us have said that at some point.
I've been out of school for a good 5 years now, so it wasn't me. Work is getting in the way, maybe. How do people consider you a professional? I totally understand. I forgot to change the oil again. If you don't eat the turtle, I will. I saw a movie that had a scene like that in it, and it was not pleasant.
Poor turtle.
Are you new here? Please stop calling me Mr. Music. I can't even whistle without breaking glass. And that is a problem I do not have because I am an excellent whistler. but I'm not going to do it on this mic because I don't have a pop filter or a compressor, so it's going to sound horrible.
All right, and the one-worders for this week are revolution, sailor, village, preservation, bones, prayer, dream, tainted, guns, and young. And my interpretation of the story cubes for this week, since interpretation of them is half the fun, we have some angry dude pointing at a beaker that is tipping over a little bit. I can see why that would cause a bit of anger. That would be messy. We have another dude almost being hit by hopefully just a bouncy ball and not a rock or hail or anything like that. We have a monochrome rainbow, which is an odd oxymoron. We have a question mark. We have someone accidentally tipping over a flask. So I guess tying into the other cube. We have an arrow. We have fire. And we have someone holding a present looking happy.
Sounds to me like this guy got a flask of chemicals for his birthday, and then insanity ensued.
Yeah, it must have been like paint thinner or something that dripped onto the rainbow, took out all the colors,
And then lit
maybe
it
set
up.
things on fire. Bad things happened after that.
I do like how the question mark die is in the middle of the array.
It is kind of fitting for the overall scenario. But yes, make of those prompts what you will. And as always, if you happen to write a short story or flash fiction based off of any of these writing prompts, we would love to read it. Just send us a copy of the piece or the URL where we can read it, and that is a very inconvenient time for the phone to ring. I'm going to mute myself while that... Okay then. That was just insult to injury.
Best episode ever.
Send us a copy or the URL where we can read your story over to our email. It is wordninja@fcwriters.com. Completely derailed my thoughts. All right, kill the screen share. Where are we now? All right, it's time to start slowly wrapping things up with convenient segments. But first, refreshing comments. Okay, in response to what Jessica's anime is. The anime is based on our life in school, but the main teacher and his kids know it's an anime, but everyone else does not. Also, it is action, adding in Deadly Dancer. My input to this, which is one of the bad guys, which is a ballet dancer who has knives on her shoes. That's dangerous. And all the main people are fighters based on All My Friends. Crazy, funny, quiet, I presume, and loud. This is a small bit. The anime is a fighting one / funny. Smiley face. That does sound like a pretty solid anime plot. I am intrigued.
What, an anime taking place in high school? That's never been done before.
It doesn't matter if ideas have been done before, it's a matter of putting your own voice to it and making it unique.
Call back.
Hopefully that was one of the parts that was actually live streaming.
Oh, God. So
At
many
this point, I don't
confused
know.
looks there.
That's going to be fun to watch over again to see just where things cut out and what actually got to stay in.
I'm definitely not watching that episode. But I encourage everyone else to. It's a great episode.
Well, by now it's too late. They'll have watched it.
Good point. You made
Ha
a mistake.
All right. We are brought to you by Full Coverage Writers, a repository of resources for writers. To check out past episodes of this podcast, reading recommendations, interviews, and more, go to fcwriters.com. And we are also partnered with the Fairy Tale Podcast, a weekly live stream hosted on Monday nights at around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take a few minutes. Check out their channel for manga and fanfic dubs, cosplay reviews, and more. And if you happen to catch the live stream, you'll find me on there most times as Makarov. Yay! And next part, this show is currently privately funded, but you are able to show your own appreciation in multiple ways. The easiest way, of course, is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you're currently watching this on. You can watch our older episodes and other shenanigans, or you can click that thumbs up button, show that you appreciated stuff despite all the technological complications.
Or maybe because of.
And if you give this particular episode a thumbs down, I don't really blame you. This one was fail-tacular.
Amazing.
For extra credit, you can go over to fcwriters.com, go to the Word Ninjas Live page, and donate an amount of your choice via the convenient PayPal donation button. All donations go towards our various endeavors to provide engaging content for creative people everywhere. And, as always, we have the 3-tiered donation levels. For $1, you get a shout-out, so you can promote your site, social media account, podcast, or just say hello. For $5, you can ask a talkie question or provide an author highlight, what have you. So if there's something you want us to banter about or dig into, $5 will get us talking. For $10 whole, you can sponsor an entire episode and join us live, presuming that we can get things streaming. This also implies that you have a workable mic, webcam, solid enough bandwidth to stay on a Google Hangout. Not that we seem to have that luck lately, but it does help. And if you provide more than that, I have no idea what we'll do, other than bow down to your awesomeness, because we don't really expect anything more than that.
I will literally cut off all my fingers.
That would be unfortunate and counterproductive to several things.
Nothing I say is legally binding, right? Oh, God.
Well, technically it is only a verbal contract, but it has been recorded. So that could get a little complicated.
No one donate more than $10. Oh, God.
What if someone donates $10.01?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to plead the fifth. Just in case.
All right, I think it's about time we wrap this thing up before anything else happens. Justin, why don't you start, and then I'll just close things out.
Sure. So my website, which once I am crossed the river Styx, I will be able to update very frequently. I already have plenty of things in mind for it, and you will be able to find it at facingmyreality.com. There's a new template in the works, and it is nearly complete, so it will be a very fancy-looking website soon.
Cool.
You can email the website at info@facingmyreality.com, although I don't know why you would do that yet. You can also follow me on Twitter at facingmyreality, which I do actually post on and am more active on it than the site right now. So feel free to friend me on Twitter post-haste, and keep Facing My Reality in your bookmark for when it's up and running come mid to late February.
All right. As for myself, you can find me over on Twitter via @silver_wolf85. That one has been quiet this week due to work and snow complications, but I'm trying to keep that somewhat alive. For all of the full coverage writers' shiny baubles and endeavors and everything, go to our website at fcwriters.com. If you're more of a social media person, you can check us out via this YouTube channel. obviously. Our Tumblr page is fcwordninja@.tumblr.com. Over on Facebook, it's just facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. Our literary Twitter handle is @fcwordninja. And for anything and everything else, you can just email us at wordninja@fcwriters.com. And that is just going to close out and wrap up this hilarious episode. All right, until next week, guys, we'll see you for episode 33.
Bye-bye.
So, specific versions and variations within. As for Calvin's answers, he replied with that he's not particularly kind to his characters either. So romantic relationships don't come easily for his characters. He thinks the most interesting romantic relationships between two characters come out of two people with conflicting or opposing personalities. So I guess when opposites attract. And it's a lot of fun exploring dynamics, knowing the two sides will undoubtedly clash at any given moment. It's just a matter of how and when. So I guess he likes messing with his characters as well. Yay, character torturer.
It's like playing The Sims, except writing it all out.
Hmm.
That gives me an interesting idea.
And he also adds, that dynamic works well for me with friendships, especially with Oscar Madison, Felix Unger type personality differences. Just trying to make the friendship work without killing one another. I think that also describes pretty much almost all of anime. Yeah, that is our crew's responses to this talkie point. So for our listeners, both present and future, how do you deal with your characters' relationships? Do they manage to get along and play nice with each other, or are there various complications and dramas that you have to deal with and sort out? Post in the comments. Continue our conversations.
So speaking of relationships, after thinking about this question a lot, I've noticed that a lot of talking points that we come up with and discussions, I always seem to think of them as any answer that could possibly be given would be a cliche answer, because everything has already been touched upon in writing. It's just a matter of mixing and matching and kind of new twists on old ideas. But I think that I too closely assume that everything is a cliche and try to avoid them instead of actually playing with them and trying to use it as an excuse to not write about something that might have been touched upon before. And maybe that's me personally trying to avoid...
It's against the rules. But they are allowed to have friendships and frenemies and awkward social relationships that most people have in everyday life. It's just mainly a matter of pitting two characters with conflicting personalities or goals against each other. I usually like to egg at least one, if not both sides on, because, you know, horrible person to my characters. Kind of par for the course. But it's always more interesting to have a story where your characters do interact and evolve against each other or with each other. So it's not just focusing on one character evolving through an entire story. There are multiple character evolutions and growths and all that goodness. But it is kind of hard to balance all of them and make sure that you don't focus too much on one and skip out on others that might be worthwhile. I still have yet to master that.
Yeah, mastering the relationship is difficult for me as well. My characters have so far typically have established relationships that slowly evolve over time, so I rarely have to create new relationships. And when I do have to create new relationships, it's usually through destiny, which is a little bit lame, especially for fantasy writing. So perhaps this is something that I should work on and do some writing exercises about. And force two random people and do my own little writing prompt where I choose two random people out of a hat and have them meet and see if I can write something. A majority of my relationships probably develop through dialogue more than their physical interactions with each other.
And probably depending on who listens to this episode, it probably is worth clarifying what all these other Japanese options for relationship combos are. Because even I have trouble remembering what some of them are, and I know Justin questioned me on it earlier. Let's see, I found a couple of the definitions. For tsundere, it's when someone acts strong, cold, and hostile towards others, but they actually are a very warm person. They gradually show their nice side towards another person. I feel like that covers about a third of anime characters.
I believe I have all of them, so if you need them, let me know. Where'd you stop?
I think I got stuck on the fourth book somewhere along the way. I think because the fifth one was taken out of the library at the times, and then I forgot to look for it, and then I forgot most of the plot.
Well, I guess you'll just have to start over then.
Yeah. Well, I do still have my 100 books to read for the year goal, and I think I'm only on book 13 or so. So I can easily enough add it to the list.
They're quite long. I don't know if you have a page count average goal.
Well, they can't be much worse than some of the books in my to-be-read pile. Would you like to take Calvin or Will's answers for this talkie point?
I'm going to flip a coin. The coin landed on tails, and tails refer to Will's. Obviously, all of that was done slightly off camera. Let's see. Will, if you've been following along on the podcast, does deal a lot with relationships with his characters. He mentioned it has already included working relationships, friendship, romantic, obviously, enemies, and recently even frenemies. He mentions that most of the time those relationships are a necessary part of the plot, so he works things to ensure that they happen. He also says that that's not always the case. There have been a few times where he's thrown a few characters at each other for something simple, and a romantic relationship tried to form from it. No sense in denying that from happening. He also mentions that sometimes, though those romantic relationships don't pan out, then we can only hope that the characters can at least stay friends. And then he also questions CJ's use of those Japanese terms, which we explained earlier.
I'm kind of glad that even he can't keep track of those.
Yeah, if he can't keep track of them, then... Well, to be fair to him, 3 of them are awfully similar.
Yeah, they seem very specific. Whereas, like, the working relationship, that's pretty vague. You can have a dozen or so. Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 32 of Word Ninjas Live. It's another short crew this week. People are off doing crazy shenanigans like work and doing podcasting while working.
Yep. I am on location at my day job. Locked into a conference room.
Hopefully you remembered the charger this time so that your battery doesn't threaten to die at the last minute. Maybe.
Yes, I did remember the charger.
All right.
Charger is good, but once you start recording, my network started getting crazy.
Hopefully it'll hold out long enough for us to get through the show. We still have a full set of talkie points for you this week, and some of the other crew members were able to provide their answers, even though they can't show up. So we'll be covering off on those as well. But kicking things off for this week, the first talkie point is, how do your characters form relationships? This can be working, friendship, romantic, frenemies, enemies. And then we get down to the fiddly options of tsundere, yandere, kudere, I think it's pronounced. I don't even know. Dandere, and Justin provided ka tet.
Yes, that's correct.
And then whatever other combinations are feasible out there. There are almost infinite amount of possible relationship combinations for characters. The general one that most quickly comes to mind are the romantic ones, because that's the ones that the media seems to always focus on, even though they shouldn't. But for me and my characters, they are absolutely horrible at forming romantic relationships, partly because I'm rubbish at writing them. And I just like being a horrible person to my characters. None of them are allowed to be happy with each other.
Yes, inner anguish, lashing out.
And probably a fair amount of JRPGs, too.
I would say all of them and every character within them. At least the ones I've played.
Let's see. Yandere is they have two sides to their personality. Yanderes are extremely sweet, caring, and gentle to those they love very much. However, they are usually mentally unstable, causing them to show their affection often through violence. Yeah, that covers another third of anime characters.
I feel with these 4 definitions incoming, we're running out of thirds.
Well, what are the other? The other 2 I don't really know that well. Let's see. Kudere. They are really cold and emotionless, but they slowly open up to their love interests or a person they trust. It is different from tsundere because tsundere are not emotionless and express their feelings in more loud, anger-like ways. I don't really know too many of those offhand as an example. And then there's dandere. They are extremely quiet, but are different from kuderes because it is often associated with shyness. Huh.
I feel like 3 out of 4 of those start off with being introverted and shy and not expressing their true emotions.
So it's basically just covering a lot of normal people with social anxieties and awkwardness.
And the one I added, Ka-Tet, is a Dark Tower reference, Stephen King set of novels. It's basically a group of people who have met together via some sort of destiny, and they have to work towards a common goal. And they are bonded emotionally and sometimes psychologically.
I was wondering why that term sounded so familiar. I couldn't place it. Then again, I still have yet to finish reading that series.